Welcome back, everybody. This Week in America on the Blue Funk Broadcasting Radio Network. Great to have you with us on the program today. Follow us and even like us on Facebook, facebook.com/This Week in America. As mentioned on the program today, we're talking about the solution for the supersized world. And with us to talk about her product, Livliga, is Sheila Kemper Dietrich. She's the founder and CEO of Livliga. Welcome to the program, Sheila. Great to have you with us.
Thanks, Rick. It's very exciting to be here, and particularly at this time of year when we get to talk about the holidays and eating and how not to get out of control and what some of the solutions are.
Well, it's interesting. We're going to talk about the product, and then we'll talk about some of your tips later because, we're at that stage where we've got holiday parties, and then just when we get through the holidays, it's winter. And we sort of try to get through the winter hibernating and eating a lot more than we should. So we'll get some clues on that later in the program. I talk about this is really the solution to portion size. Supersize has gotten really just totally out of control. Talk about when you realized this was a problem, and I've got an idea how we can actually fight this.
Yes. Well, I was the executive director of the American Heart Association in Denver, and had the opportunity of meeting and talking to doctors who were on our board. And one was a pediatric cardiologist who said, Sheila, I am now seeing children with that are 14 and 13 years old that have the hearts of 40 to 41-year-olds because of obesity. And I thought about this, and then the Center for Disease Control came out and said, we're now living in a generation where parents are going to outlive their children because of obesity. And it got me mad. I thought, there's no parent out there who wakes up in the morning and says, how can I, give my child a meal that's going to end up killing them at an early age? No one. We love our children and we want to take good care of them. And that's why we do feed them what we feed them. But it's because we don't know. So I decided that I would actually start reading the literature that is out there that, in fact, is funded by organizations like the American Heart Association, and really try and understand why is it that we're failing. Millions and millions of dollars on an annual basis are being spent on education and research and products and programs, and why are we failing? And I found out what I think the secret is here that shouldn't be a secret anymore, and that is the psychology of eating. We need to right-size our world, and we need to use all the tricks of the trade out there that will help us right-size that world and help support us in right-sized eating on a daily basis for a healthier lifestyle.
I've done a number of programs where people will talk about the plate size, use smaller plates, and that sort of shoots over our head, and it's like, well, that sounds good, but we've got our plates, and we like our plates and the patterns and the designs and the whole thing. You actually took that a step further, like, how about if I not only have the right size plate, but I make them attractive as well? The kids are going to like them. You did the line for children, Kidliga, that we'll talk about.
The Kidliga line.
Yes, that we'll talk about because that makes so much sense. And for adults, you've done that. And when I'm looking in your material, it's amazing how plates have actually grown in sort of like portions. Plates have actually grown in size over the years.
Believe it or not, they've grown over 51%, Rick, in the past 50 plus years. And so what does that mean? That means that we're putting more food on our plates. On top of that, we've managed to get rid of the rim on the plates, which allows us to put even more food on our plate. And that is a problem because it's our eyes, not our stomachs, that dictate the terms of how much we'll eat, how long we'll eat, when we decide to finish eating. And it's all about visual cues. And so it's really important that we address how our eyes are seeing the food. So if we have a bigger plate, we're going to fill our plate up more because to our eyes, it's not going to look like enough unless that plate is pretty full.
Well, you talk about the psychology of eating, and that makes so much sense because you're actually looking at the plate and, well, they designed the plate to put food on, put a meal on. Yep. I'm going to fill it up and I'm going to eat it and everything is fine. Not the case.
No. And unfortunately, since it's our eyes are relative, so we don't know what certain serving sizes are. And in fact, we've completely confused portion with serving size. So when we are putting food on our plate, or when it's actually better yet, if it's served to us, when it's served to us, we look at that as if it's a serving rather than understanding it's a portion, which might be a number of servings. And so, what the plate tries to do that we've done with Livliga and Kidliga is to actually go back to what a serving size looks like so that we can help our eyes adjust to what that right sized food looks like on a plate. And because of the design of the plate with the colors and the actual design on the plate, as well as the dimensions of the rim to the well of the plate, we've made all those things so that when you put the right amount of food on the plate, it looks plentiful because it should. How did we get into the world, Rick, where now when we see right sized food on a plate, it looks puny?
Well, yeah, and we're so conditioned, and it's interesting when we started doing programs and talking about actual portion sizes, serving sizes, and the difference a few years ago. It's like totally amazing because you'll pick up something that you think is like, okay, this is the portion, and you look and it's like 2.5 servings when you look and you see what's actually there. So you're taking all of a sudden the fat count and the calories multiplied by 2.5, and you're like, wait a minute, that's my intake for the entire day.
Whole day. Exactly.
Yeah.
We have to do it in our heads. Why is that? Why do they do that? Because they're kind of tricking us and not really understanding what we're eating. And the problem is that it's killing us and it's killing our kids and it's doing it in a way that we're really not aware of what's going on. So we have to be a little more mindful. And we have to do a little more cooking at home. And that's why we have dishware that helps us when we're at home, and why I have recipes on our website and on my blog, because we have to start making it more fun to be at home and doable. We all live really busy lives. Here I am, a mom of three, silly, crazy lady who started a new company, and I have a lot I'm juggling. So I completely understand, but we can make healthy food yummy, visually appealing, and therefore more satisfying. Because the challenge today is most of what we eat, we're not really even thinking about the fact that we're eating. And on top of that, after you finish it, do you ever realize or think, oh my gosh, that was really good. I feel satisfied. And if we don't feel satisfied, we're going to keep eating. So we really got to start focusing on how do we make food appealing, attractive, and feel like it's enough so that we feel satisfied.
It's a great website, and the product is Livliga, and that's spelled Livliga. The website is Livliga home.com. You can link onto that by going to our website and get the information there as well. A lot of great information there, not only on the dishware, but again, you mentioned the recipes, and you've got a number of things on there as well. And you talk about Kidliga. What now? This is Swedish, right? And I've never been good with Swedish, but tell me what this means in Swedish.
Okay, Livliga means lively, vibrant, and vivid, which is what we wish for everyone's life. Because if we're eating right, we're going to have more energy, we're going to be more lively, we're going to enjoy our lives more, and therefore it's going to be a vibrant, vital life. Kidliga was just our having fun with the fact that it's the kids line of Livliga. So it doesn't really mean anything other than it sounds cute, I hope.
Well, and you talk about creative and the fact that colorful. When you see the dinnerware, you're going to go, yeah, I really like this. And let's go back to how this all started. Once you get this idea, you decide, okay, I've got to, if I'm block it from my mind or go do something on it. So you do a prototype, and you go down basically to the paint your own pottery store to try to do something in the beginning. Yeah, pick that up from there. How you've got that, and then decided, okay, I'm going to go to the next level, which was bringing in a whole bunch of experts. So you did this the right way.
Well, I laboriously painted 4 different sets of dishware that was right sized and brought it home, and my family started using it. I have lost over 50 pounds. My husband has lost over 40 pounds, and my daughter over 25, all simply because we started right sizing our food at every meal. It really honestly was as easy as that, and it was completely painless because other than the fact that I had to kind of be more aware of what I was cooking, and that the recipes that I chose were healthy, but the eating part was easy, delicious, visually appealing. And what in bringing in the experts, doctors, nutritionists, as well as designers and artists, what we recognized through the literature that I read is that color is really key. it can be a huge trigger for us. So when you go to those fast food restaurants, when you think about the colors in those fast food restaurants, what's the first color that comes to mind? Red?
Oh, yes. Yes.
Orange, yellow.
Yep.
These are all triggering colors because they stimulate us. They cause us to eat faster and then we eat more. So we kind of like reversed that. And so the colors we use are still yummy, sumptuous colors that we want in our home, but they're non trigger colors. We also have different patterns because we wanted it to fit with people's decor. And we wanted, research shows that if you eat in an attractive environment and on attractive dishware, you're actually going to end up enjoying that meal more and take your time over it and feel more satisfied. There was a study done by Brian Wansink of Cornell University.
He's been on a program. I love mindless eating.
Isn't he
That so much
fantastic?
of what we do is mindless eating. That was like, okay, I've got to find this guy and get him on the program.
Exactly. And he did this great study that you guys might have talked about called it's the Burger King study. So they took over this restaurant that was a Burger
Oh,
King.
yes. Yes.
Still the same food, but they split it in half. One was fine dining experience. The other one was the same it always was. Those that sat in the fine dining, it turned out they spent more time eating and they ate less. And so that's the kind of stuff we used when actually designing the product so that when you're eating at home, you have more control over the food, what goes in the food. You can create an attractive environment without a whole lot of effort. I mean, basically using beautiful dishware, that's a huge step in that right direction. And it's going to actually help you eat the right amount of food, like eating it, feel satisfied, and be healthier because of it.
Livliga is what we are talking about. The website is livligahome.com, Livliga home.com. Kidliga is also available, and it just makes so much sense to take that down to the kids level. You can find out all the information on the website, information on ordering, and other things like you mentioned, recipes and tips in the blog that's there as well. One study that I've heard you talk about that really is alarming that says a study found that children who serve themselves more calories when using adult-sized dishware compared with child-sized. So they go through the same visual thing that we do. We're going to fill the plate. That's apparently what we're supposed to be doing with this. No wonder we're fighting an obesity problem with kids.
Exactly. And when go back to the beginning of our conversation, when we find out that those plates are also 51% larger than they were a mere 50 years ago, and those are the plates our kids are eating off of, there's a real problem. Kids deserve their own size plates. On top of which, we actually, research shows we don't know what a balanced meal is anymore. And so part of it is going back to some of the basics, as you know, myplate.gov is doing in terms of reminding us what is a balanced meal? What is that made up of? And also, what are the proportions? So not only is it what should we be eating, but what amounts of each type of food should we be eating? So we created a really fun plate, Rick, where we have the actual serving sizes. Each one of them is visually intuitive. So you have a chicken where the protein should be, and you have grains of quinoa where the grain should go, and you have Sammy, who's one of the characters. She wears white t-shirts, and on the white t-shirt is broccoli, a stem of broccoli. And so the kids know that's where your vegetable goes. So it's really teaching kids what the balanced meal looks like. And then since there are actual measuring sizes on it, they know proportionally how much broccoli, which is double to that of the grain that they should be putting on their plate, and the protein somewhere in the middle. So it's a fun way for kids to learn, and they're learning more than one thing while they're eating their food, and maybe perhaps even teaching their parents a thing or two.
Well, yeah, and that's the book that comes along, which, by the way, is an award-winning book. Congratulations on that. You got a lot of people's attention with this because it's entertaining and I don't want to say educational because kids don't want to be educated, I mean, at least in those terms, but it's sort of the subtle education because it is so entertaining. They're learning something as they're reading and enjoying it.
Exactly. And the parents are reading it with the kids because it's really targeted for kids between the ages of 4 to 8. And so that's a time when parents are still reading the book with their kids. So hopefully they're reading and learning together, they're enjoying together. And in the back of the book, since it's a journey about these two kiddos going to a magical land, which is called the land of quinoa, they are learning what a balanced meal is because they're talking to all these puzzle pieces in this magical land. And at the end of it, they figure out what the balanced meal is, which is all those puzzle pieces coming together. And then they design their own balanced meal, and those recipes, Rick, are in the back of the book, so the parents can actually get their kids engaged in a fun way in making food, and preparing food, because research shows that if kids are engaged, they're going to end up enjoying and trying and willing to try things they've never had before, and they're going to end up eating healthier because of it.
Tell me about the product line. I want to say something before I forget because you're talking about portions and all of that. So, it's there for you. You leave nothing to chance. You even have fill lines. So when you've got a cup there or whatever, it's like, okay, you don't have to go to the top with that. Here's where we're going to stop pouring.
Yes, exactly. I could even show you maybe here in the bowl, we have two lines, a cup and a cup and a half. And it's that easy. It's designed so it looks pretty. No one would ever know what it's actually for. I don't know if I can actually do that well for you guys,
Yeah,
but
I can see
can
that.
you see it? And so the idea is that it's designed so it's pretty, it's natural. You feel, we actually kind of like puzzles and we like filling to certain lines. So we'll naturally want to fill to those lines. And it's also actually a serving size. So it's a cup or a cup and a half, depending on what you're eating and what that serving size is for what you're eating, which is something typically you put in a bowl. So we've tried to make it very easy, very attractive, and something that's kind of natural for us to want to do.
I think you'll be impressed with what you see when you go to the website, which is livliga home.com. I was going to mention as we're doing this, the interview with Sheila will be on our YouTube site, and she's got a YouTube site as well that has some of the products displayed on there as well. A couple minutes left in the program. Let's talk about what's available. If somebody says, I like that, that makes perfect sense, what all is available? Do I use that to supplement what I already have? Can I replace everything I've got with your product? What's available?
Well, we need to right size everything, and each piece needs to be right size. So we really created a suite of product that works well together and that is the right size, so that when you put the right amount of food in it, it looks plentiful. So we have a dinner plate, a salad/dessert plate, a bowl, a mug. We have it in two different patterns for the adults. We have it in blue and pink for the kiddos, along with the book. And then we also have glassware, because, of course, that's another issue, right? Our wine
Yes.
glasses that can now hold an entire bottle of wine in it and look like it's a third full. So those have been beautifully right sized. They're etched. And in the etching are fill lines that are very subtle, but they help us again. And they're designed so that when you put the right amount, which is like 5 ounces for wine, it looks plentiful, and therefore when you drink it, you're going to feel satisfied and feel like you've had what you wanted to have, and it was enough. And we also have the beverage glass, which is a water glass, so it's not only for water. And it has beautiful etching and 8 ounces, and that can be used for beer or iced tea or lemonade. But again, it's right sizing our eyes, so that when we put the right amount in, we're doing a favor to our bodies, and our eyes are looking at it and realizing it's enough.
You're listening to This Week in America. With us on the program is Sheila Kemper Dietrich. The product is Livliga. The website is livligahome.com, Livliga home.com. Some videos available at YouTube. You can log on to our channel and get some of that information as well. A couple minutes left in the program, and before we get to some tips for the holidays, your husband is involved in the company as the CFO and the COO. He's got a vast business background, an entrepreneur. And he said something that was really interesting, that anytime you can get families together to plan a meal, to prepare a meal, to eat together, it's a win for everybody. And that really develops that relationship, doesn't it? And the kids feel like they're part of the process in putting the meals together.
And they also end up being great cooks, which is an added benefit.
Yes.
But it is, so much of it is trying to figure out those times when we can be together as a family when you're so active. Cooking can actually be that way of which you can be together, you can have conversation, you can be doing something fun together, learning, and doing something good for your body, which is creating healthy foods. Michael Pollan, you may have interviewed him as well. He came out with a recent book, Cooked.
Yes.
One of the things that he really talks about is the fact that it actually takes less time to prepare a healthy meal at home than it does to get in the car, go to the fast food restaurant, order, sit, eat, or eat in the car and come back home. And that we really, if we start realizing it, we can end up using time that we're already using for food to prepare the food and eat it in a healthier environment, and actually spend a little more quality time with our family. I'm not saying it's easy, but I am saying that perhaps it's something that we can do to benefit ourselves and our family, have a little fun doing it, and feel way more satisfied about the food we're eating and our lives.
Do you find it in the situation with you, the husband, and your children, that once you develop this lifestyle, that it's pretty difficult to get, even if you're out somewhere, you're still mindful of what it is I should be eating and what actually a serving is?
Yes, and I will say I've influenced my friends as well at this point.
Good, good. It's
We go out, we're
contagious.
all a little more mindful about what we're doing and actually kind of having fun doing it as well.
Yeah,
And
people look over and Sheila stopped eating, so we must be done with the meal now.
yeah, and we share a lot more too because portions are so large at restaurants that, if you order something, you can share it with at least another person, if not two other people,
Yes.
depending on where you are. And that can be a lot of fun and a conversation maker as well. And it sure makes you feel better after you finish the meal because you're not stuffed and overfull and feeling miserable because of it.
It's interesting. You've given some tips, and we mentioned at the beginning it's a holiday time, and then it's winter time, and things are dark and dreary, cold, depressing, and we tend to eat more than we should. You say basically if we choose nutritional and balanced, we're going to be okay. And when you think about it, when you use fruits and vegetables, it is filling, it is satisfying, and it's good for you.
And it's so good for us. And we can have our comfort foods too. And it's so easy in this day and age to go out on the internet and look. If macaroni and cheese is your comfort food and the thing you need in a cold winter night, you can find a healthy version of that. And I have many healthy versions of things that I love to fix that are my comfort foods on my website. And I also have a menu planner because one of the other things is we are so busy that if we take a minute or two once a week to actually create our menus, we can be more thoughtful about what's healthy. We can go to the grocery store and buy those healthy foods to then make the meals. And our trick in our family is whoever's home first is the one that starts preparing the meal. So you don't have to wait till mom comes home if she's the one with the late meeting. Because dad can get started because everything's already planned, everything's already in the house, and he's the one that can be helping the kiddos with the homework as he's fixing dinner while waiting for mom to come home and contribute and help finish up the meal, or vice versa. And the kids can be involved as well if it's part of what you consider as a family, contribution. So it's very doable, but it does require some thinking and some planning.
Well, and all that information available at the website, which is livliga home.com. Very simple. Livliga is the product we're talking about. Kidliga is the children's version of that. With that, you also get the accompanying book that's great for parents as well as for the children. And the nice thing is, this really works, and you tried it out before you decided to go any further, and you realized we're satisfied, we're feeling better, and wow, we're actually losing weight in the process.
And we're living a healthy lifestyle. I mean, I've never felt better in my life, and I'm having a lot more fun. Although I'm working harder than I ever have.
Well, you're sharing the message with everybody, and we appreciate that very much. I would encourage people to check out the website. Again, it's livliga home.com. Sheila, thank you so much for joining us on the program. We hope to have you back and pick up more of the conversation. Thank you for being with us.
Thank you so much. This has been a delight. I appreciate it.
Been a real pleasure, and thank you so much for what you're doing. And now when we bring out those old plates, we got to realize, okay, we really need to lose about 50% of that, and then we've got an actual size. Or better yet, get on your website and get information, and now we don't have to visualize it. Go in there and try to visualize a smaller plate. We can actually have one in our hands. The website, again, livliga home.com. You're listening to This Week in America on the Blue Funk Broadcasting Radio Network.